what Empower is doing, I believe, where Howard from my constituency says, small villages whereby representative. You know very well in this community we are in, a lot of men do delegate. You know how we are in our families, Malay, Chinese, Indian, one Malaysia. A dad is a dad, a father is a father. And you have a certain kind of expectation. I was sitting at the discussion with the Prime Minister. I sat there counting the heads of women parliamentarians for the ruling party. Next to me was Rafida Aziz, you know, the former Minister for Trade and the former head of Wanita UMNO. She's very brave, she's very outspoken. She has led women's political wing in the ruling party for years. But she is where she is today because she believed in change. People say, look, that is the end of a political career, but I believe if you do not have the courage for change, don't talk about being a politician, talk about advocacy. There must be a courage for change. The biggest challenge for change, ladies and gentlemen, especially young girls into politics or into empowerment, is when you are being criticized unfairly in your views and your issues. And to make allegations about women, you know very well, when you talk about abuse and violence of women, whether it's physical violence or whether it's emotional violence, and you talk about women in board of companies, you talk about women in government organization. With all due respect to the Madam Shanti from CEDAW, spoke about the percentage of certain countries to the next country. You talk about numbers, yes, I do agree. Malaysia, we are on its way there. But when you look at an overall picture, you have not to begin with numbers. I believe not in numbers, but I believe in the performance of the women and the respect for women in the position of empowerment and the position of power. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I believe on behalf of Fuzia and I, the struggle is always ongoing. When you sit in a political party, you talk about party issues, but sometimes you dispute on issues when it comes to gender. We in Malaysia have the Ministry of Women's Affairs. Yes, we are extremely proud of the ministry. He has done a lot of success. But I still believe there are many issues, especially on a woman's personality itself, a young girl's ability to participate in sports, a young girl's ability to have the right to play, comparing to the brother or the neighbor who's a boy down the street. About a young girl's safety as she goes out, the ability to go to the market. You know, years ago, a young small girl, Nurul, was raped in Johor, cycling to buy groceries on behalf of the family. And she was raped not in late night or early morning, but it was, I believe, midday. She was abused, she was sodomized, so on and so forth. So this issue about women is not because you have the capacity to defend yourself, but overall, the whole idea of empowerment, I believe, my emphasization for these 2 minutes I'm left with, I have to remind Empower, this 6 minutes to 2 minutes, they keep telling my staff is 6 minutes and nothing more, nothing short. But I would like to emphasize on behalf of the government of Malaysia, well, I'm not the Minister of Women's Affairs. I mean, you know what happens if I'm the Minister of Women's Affairs. But that's a different issue, right? You can't have them too aggressive because it won't work. But anyway, coming back to this issue, I believe what is most important, as far as Malaysian government is concerned, the parliamentarian do have a caucus group on women's issue. And I must tell you, when it comes to the women's issue, members of parliament, pro and against the government, the backbenchers, whether for or against the government, are together on issues of women. On behalf of my friends who are now in parliament, they can't be here because there's a press conference by the women parliamentarian on International Women's Day. But overall, I must emphasize that the biggest difficulty is that even being here, being a woman parliamentarian, to raise issue and be convinced on what you say, because the biasness is that you're a woman. I will not mention whose. One senior politician said last week, I was in a meeting and he said, quote and unquote, this is the problem with women in Malaysia. They're extremely emotional. And he said that in front of many women politicians. You know, he's on his deathbed because you can't say that to a woman. She may not fight you, but she knows, as they say, I may not hit you now, but I'll teach you a lesson later. You know how women are. Mr. Ambassador may not know about Malaysian women. Women in Malaysia can be quite intelligent, I must say that. But I must say, the conclusion of my speech would be, what we have, besides what empowerment is doing, is the capacity to use technology for us to voice our issues. I believe there is a Sexual Harassment Act coming in Parliament. I believe this would be an easier act to implement if women are using technology on their advantage. If your bosses abuse you, take a picture, tape record. I got a lot of young friends who use technology to their advantage. Use it. We cannot be depending on government and non-governmental organizations to empower us. It is up to us. That's why we must educate ourselves with knowledge. That's why we must educate ourselves with understanding. And I believe in the future of Malaysia, with the existence of technology, it is an advancement for women to participate equally, whether in the workplace or outside the workplace. I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, especially ladies, you know about SMS, you know about BB, you know about Twitter, you know about Facebook, right? Use that, and I bet you, no one will ever abuse you. I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, whichever level programs that we are doing, the whole idea of raising this awareness and this knowledge that exists, I believe it must be equipped with technology.